Good evening. I'm Dr. Fred Rouse, the Real Money Doctor, and it's currently May 18th, it's a Monday, and it's 7 o'clock. We're right on time here tonight. Rather strange, actually. So I'm here today to give you the events that touch base, at least, on the things that affect the way you get, protect, and enjoy your money, your life, and your retirement. Now, I'd already mentioned on Friday that I'd be doing this just 5 days a week. I'm going to be taking off the weekends. It's just a little bit too much for me, actually. It's very time consuming to do this. I don't mind doing it. I enjoy doing it, but it does suck up a lot of my time. So the question for today is, what COVID ventilator patients say about reopening. I'll get to that in just a few minutes. And that's a pretty important topic. Now, we start every day, like we always do, with just touching base on the numbers to see where things are. And right now, the current confirmed cases in the U.S. have topped 1,500,000. That's close to 30,000 new cases in the last 24 hours, or actually 48 hours since I talked to you on Friday. That's another 30,000 cases since Friday. Now, the deaths right now have reached for the first time over 90,000 deaths, okay, in just basically 10, 11 weeks or so. That's 3,000 more. 3,000 people have died since I spoke with you on Friday. Okay, just let that sink in for just a little bit. 3,000 people from Friday at 7 o'clock to Monday at 7 o'clock. 3,000 people have died. We'll get into that a little bit more in just a few minutes. Right now, there's about 283,000 people that have actually recovered from COVID. That's close to 37,000 more since Friday, which is, it's nice. It's nice to see some people are getting through things because it's not pleasant. Now, New York still has a number of cases topping anybody else in the States. Okay, 351,000 cases right now. They picked up an extra 5,560 cases pretty much since Friday. Their deaths are now at 28,300. That's up 498 people that have died in New York State over the weekend. Now, New Jersey still has a number 2 spot. Okay, they don't want it, but they have it. They currently have 148,000 cases right now. That's up 4,200 since Friday. Their deaths have also increased. They're up to 1049 right now, and that's up 291,000, or 291 people have died since Friday. So again, they've got 10,000 people dead in that state. Okay, almost 300 people have died since Friday at 7 o'clock. Now, it's pretty obvious the death rates in both New Jersey and New York are both slowing, and they're slowing a lot, which is really, really good because you don't want to be one of those dead people, obviously. Now, the numbers keep growing, okay? And there's always a story behind each one of these people. And it's nice to know them. And in the past, what we've done, we've highlighted a few of those individual cases and did a deep dive into see what goes on with these folks. Okay, because each one of these numbers is someone's family member. It really is. Okay, a brother or sister, a child. Okay, and each one of them, when they pass, their death affects the number of people. And we've detailed a lot of those people so far. And right now, I want to make sure we don't forget them, but we also have to move on with life. So right now, I want to get into the question for the day is, what COVID ventilator patients have to say about reopening. Now, I just ran across this story earlier today, and I want to share it with you. These are people who actually survived ventilators, okay? They survived the body aches, the fevers, and now these COVID survivors have a few things to say about whether the state should reopen and how that happens. And I wanted to touch base on those things because these are people with firsthand information. And again, I'll get into who's got firsthand information and who doesn't afterwards. Now, the first one I want to talk about was Ron Wilkins. He endured 37 days on a ventilator, a failed kidney, medical paralysis, and a mountain of medical bills. As he slowly recovers from a near-death battle of COVID-19, the disease that brought on by the coronavirus, at an acute care hospital near San Antonio, Texas, where Wilkins and his loved ones now face, a new worry. States are pushing to reopen stores and local economies. And people don't really understand how serious this is until they know someone who's gone through it. And that's what Rebecca Patterson, Wilkins' longtime girlfriend, had to say. She went on to say, it's only a matter of time before everyone in the country knows someone. Now, she added, I don't know what the solution is, but I don't think hurrying to open things is it. Now, that's from someone who's got firsthand experience. Okay. Now, thousands of coronavirus survivors are returning home after a long and harrowing hospital stays to face lingering symptoms, job losses, staggering medical bills, and the stigma attached to surviving the virus that has infected 1.5 million people in the U.S. to date and has killed just over 90,000 people so far. Now, many say they're also worried the states are rushing, to rescind stay-at-home orders and allow businesses to reopen and unleash a new wave of infections. The debate over how fast the states should reignite their economies flared last week when Dr. Rick Bright, he's a government immunologist, told a congressional committee that the window is closing fast to prevent the darkest winter in modern history if the nation doesn't improve its response to the coronavirus. Now, Bright's a longtime government employee, been through a number of different administrations, but he came out with this because he just wasn't being listened to. Now, he filed a whistleblower complaint alleging that he was ousted from his federal post in retaliation for his views. President Donald Trump called Bright an angry, disgruntled employee and has continued pushing the states to reopen, even, though they're struggling with the economy. The president wants these states open, and I understand that. His entire presidency was based on the economy. It certainly wasn't because of his glowing personality and how he treats women. So the economy is the only thing he had to stand on, and now it's a little shaky. It's a lot shaky. Now, leaders in some states, including Wisconsin, Texas, have advocated for reopening of small businesses with the same guidelines for essential services, such as supermarkets, and even as their COVID cases continue to mount. So they want to reopen. I don't have a problem with that. They want to reopen, but their cases keep going up, not down. They're not holding steady. They're going up, but they're still pushing to reopen. Now, last week, the Wisconsin State Supreme Court threw out Governor Tony Evers' stay-at-home order, prompting patrons to stream into bars and restaurants all across the states. Now, do we need stay-at-home rules for run-of-the-mill openings of restaurants and small retailers? I don't think so. It's what State Republican Joan Ballard said, to the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Now, Dashua Ballard, she's a 28-year-old educator from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and state officials said that the pace of reopenings, if they've been through COVID scare, they're still not where they want to be. They're still trying to push these things open. Now, Ballard tested positive for the disease in early April after experiencing body aches, fatigue, fever, shortness of breath. She drove herself to the hospital, spent 8 hours in an intensive care unit as doctors debated whether or not to put her on a ventilator. Her breathing improved, and the next day she was released. It's pretty decent. But her job, working with high-risk high school students, was suspended, and school officials were really wary of letting her return back to the campus just to collect her personal items after learning that she contracted the virus. Now, some friends, too, have been very reluctant to meet with her after discovering that she had COVID. And it's normal. It may or may not be right, but it's normal, and it's just the way things are. Now, despite the stigma and the uncertain economic future, Ballard said she's glad to be feeling better and recovering at her mother's home in Selma. Now, given what she went through, she said she's worried that the states are going to reopen too soon. You are just potentially making the problem worse, is what she said. It's not something you want to go through. You don't want through that feeling of your breath being taken away when you just bend over to tie your shoes. You don't want to go through that, no matter what age you are. Now, Dr. Omar Mayan, an emergency medical resident in Mount Sinai Hospital in Manhattan, has seen both sides of this pandemic. Working in the hospital's emergency room department. Okay, he's treated close to 200 COVID patients since he's seen them struggling to breathe and has had scores of them die on a shift. One day early in March, um, he woke up with chills, body aches, fever, that spiked to 102. As was the protocol at the time, he stayed at home for a week until his symptoms passed. Then he returned to work. He later tested positive for COVID antibodies, a sign that he had likely had the disease. Now, Mina said that he's worried that as some states start to reopen, they'll experience a surge that hit New York. And New York leads the nation right now in confirmed cases and in deaths. I fear that many people around the country are not experiencing the same state, and they're rolling their eyes thinking that it's not going to happen to there. Well, Manaya said that majority of states still have rising cases every day. I don't think this is by any means under control. Now, this is an emergency room doctor, okay? He knows what's going on. He's got a long history. But the current problem is there are some states that haven't been hit anywhere near like New York. Now, Virginia Bennett was an active 77-year-old grandmother of 4. She shuttled between home of Indiana, where her winter home, and in Naples, Florida. And she took dancing lessons 5 days a week. In mid-March, she felt suddenly ill while in Naples and went to the hospital. X-rays showed that her lungs were ravaged by the virus, had a big bad case of COVID pneumonia, basically. Doctors moved her to an ICU and placed her on a ventilator immediately. She spent the next 36 days there on that ventilator. Family members had no access to her, relying on twice-a-day phone updates from the doctors and the nurses. It's not a pleasant experience when you're locked up like that and you just feel lost. What else are you supposed to be doing at that point in time? So here we are. These things happened, okay, and they happen a lot. Now, slowly in early May, she began to improve and was released from the hospital on May 8th. Masked doctors and nurses and technicians applauded. As Bennett was released, she was wheelchaired out of the hospital with the sounds of the Beatles' "Here Comes the Sun" playing in the hospital PA system. Now, Bennett was transferred to another critical care hospital where she would begin her long recovery from the disease, according to her daughter, Jennifer. Now, doctors said that Bennett might be at her new hospital for several more months. Before COVID took her mom's life, Jennifer, a sales manager at a hotel chain who lost her job early in the pandemic, said that she believes states should reopen as soon as possible. Now she's not so certain. I know people need to get back to work, and I want to say let's reopen it, but do it with caution and sensitivity to your neighbors and friends. Now, Dr. Elise Polis, a 66-year-old Westchester, New York breast cancer surgeon. She thought she could ride out the virus at home, and in late March, when she was hit with the flu-like symptoms and tested positive for COVID. But as her condition worsened, she was admitted to the hospital early in April. Now, there doctors discovered that Polis was experiencing what's known as cytokine storm. Okay, that's where the body releases a surge of immuno responses, to combat a virus, a condition that could really turn deadly. And Dr. Polis said it's like a thunderstorm for the body. It's where your body is basically willing to kill you to kill the virus. Now, Dr. Polis was diagnosed with pneumonia. She was later intubated, struggled to breathe, obviously. That's why they put tubes in her throat. And she suffered from anxiety attacks, especially at night. After a few days, her condition improved, and 5 days later, she was released from the hospital. Later, however, her symptoms reemerged, and Dr. Polis returned to the hospital, for a plasma infusion. Now recovering at home, she says she feels like the country and its leaders are not taking this contagion seriously enough. Dr. Polis said this push to reopen is very, very wrong and short-sighted. The second wave could be worse. Now, as the coronavirus began its explosive spread throughout New York City in March, Ron Wilkins, a 62-year-old well-known trombonist from Texas, was living in New York. He chose out to He chose to ride the pandemic out with his mother and his relatives in his home in San Antonio. Late in March, he began to complain of congestion and fatigue and brought on by, he thought his allergies flaring up. On April 4, he was tested, and his girlfriend, said that he was feeling much better. 2 hours later, though, he was rushed to the hospital, unresponsive, and immediately placed on a ventilator. It just escalated so quickly, she said. For the next 30 days, Wilkins was heavily sedated, struggling to breathe. He was a recipient of a kidney transplant just 6 years ago, and his only working kidney had failed, and he had to be placed on dialysis. His white blood cell count shot up, his blood pressure dropped out into almost near nothing. He received a tracheotomy to make it easier for air to enter his lungs. That's when they cut a hole in your throat, underneath your Adam's apple. And it's underneath your voice box, basically. And they put a tube in so they can help you breathe at that point in time. Now, doctors do that. First, they want to intubate you. They put a tube actually in your mouth, down your throat. It goes between your vocal cords. If they think you're going to be on a ventilator 15, 20, maybe 30 days or so, they'll do a tracheotomy. It's a surgical procedure. They'll cut in to your throat. They'll take out the ET tube, the endotracheal tube, and put another tube in your throat. It's much shorter. It goes right into the top of your lungs. And they can manage it from there. That saves your vocal cords from long-term damage. Now, at one point, the doctors called Patterson to tell her that Wilkins may not make it through the day. She rushed to the hospital and spoke with him from a nurse's station via a walkie-talkie that a nurse held up to Wilkins' ear when he was in the room. She said, "Hang in there. I know it's not your time, and we'll be hanging out again soon." Slowly in early May, his condition began to improve, and he was able to breathe on his own and was transferred to a long-term acute facility, in the area there. On Thursday, he took his first bite of solid food in over a month, and Patterson said that she didn't know how Wilkins could return to his music career, whether there'd be much of industry left when he does anyway. Now, Wilkins was an Air Force veteran. His health insurance was under Department of Veterans Affairs, but Patterson suspects that most of his medical bills, are still not going to be really covered. And she's expecting, a big problem. So she started a GoFundMe page, and trying to raise money to cover his medical expenses. For now, Patterson is relishing in the fact that, he's got a few small victories along the way. And he's spoken a few words. They put a special one-way valve in that you can close off, you can press on it, and then the air will go up through your vocal cords and you can still talk. Now, it doesn't matter how old you are. This is serious and with long-term effects. And that's what she said. So here we are. We're in week number 3 of May. This is a good 11 weeks into this by the president's count, even though this all started back in January. The weather breaking across the country right now. It's full spring in most places, and people are eyeing up their summer right now. A few courts have thrown out some of the extended stay-at-home orders. People are just itching to get out and get back to work if it's still actually available or not. Now, the president's been pushing this for a while now. Again, a few of the courts have thrown out the extended stay-at-home orders. The first ones, but they let stand. But the extended ones now are getting tossed out. The governors are putting them through without contacting state legislatures, and the state legislatures are not happy with things. Should we open things back up again? I have a website. I have a Facebook page. I do daily posts on Facebook. A lot of you are here because of those posts, so you've seen those posts. I get a very diverse group of people on my Facebook page. Some people think that President Trump is the best thing since sliced bread. Other people think he's a two-bit carny and is worse than P.T. Barnum. Wherever you stand, it really doesn't matter too much, because the question still comes down to, should we reopen? If we do reopen, how to do it? The testing and contact tracing are very, very critical items. you still can't get tested. Unless you've got symptoms, you still can't get tested in a lot of areas. So if you can't get tested, how are you supposed to go back to work? Or how are you supposed to go out and spend money? Contact tracing is another important thing. People don't like to give up their personal information. Well, we're in a different world right now. Okay. Back in the 80s when computers came out, we're in a different world. Okay. And your personal freedoms aren't quite what they used to be. Now, there's a big how-to-do about wearing masks. Some people think that's a personal infringement of my rights. I don't have to do that. They're trying to control me. Well, people smoke cigarettes. Okay. Anybody who smokes cigarettes, well, not anybody, but 99.9% of people who smoke cigarettes know it's an exceptionally rude thing to do, and they would never do this. They would never go up and blow smoke in somebody's face. It's asking for a fight, basically. So if these same people think that it's okay not to go and blow smoke in someone's face, why would you think it's okay then not to wear a mask and cough particulate matter onto someone else that may get them seriously sick? So that's where I'm at with things right now. I love business. I've been in business for 30, 40 years now. I like business. I like when people make money. Nobody ever complains to have too much money, too much sex, or too much food. The lack of those three things drives people absolutely crazy, though. But nobody ever complains to have too much of those things. And right now, the money situation is a problem. Okay? And I've been working with small businesses, the ones that are hit right now, the ones that are having the biggest problems right now that can't reopen. Okay, small businesses, the mom and pop operations, 2, 6, 8, 10 employees or something or other. These are small operations, and they've been hit significantly. Now, I've also have probably 15 years or more from my early days as a respiratory therapist. I was a registered respiratory therapist. I worked in ICUs. I worked in pediatric ICUs. I worked in CCUs. I worked in a level 1 neonatal trauma unit. Level 1 neonatal, Matt doesn't want to go that direction for some reason. A level 1 neonatal intensive care unit, along with a level 1 trauma unit in an inner city hospital. So I know both sides of this. Okay? Now, people are saying, well, masks don't do anything. And there are various posts. Oh, this guy, he crashed his car because he was wearing a mask and he didn't have sufficient oxygenation. Bullshit. Sorry. Doesn't work that way. Okay. You've got two types of masks. You got the N95 masks, which are great masks. They will filter down to 0.3 microns. Okay. Which is going to protect you pretty much. If you've got a good fitting N95 mask, chances are you're not going to breathe in anything. You might still get it through your eyes or your hands, but you're not going to breathe in anything. And then they've got the surgical masks that are out and about. And they're just a cloth covering. And those masks, their only real purpose nowadays is to prevent you from spreading your germs, your droplets onto someone else. Now, there's also a big how-to-do. Well, the COVID virus is smaller than 0.3 microns. So the mask is worthless. Well, yes, the COVID virus is smaller than 0.3 microns. However, the COVID virus doesn't exist by itself and just flying through the air. Okay, it exists on particles, some droplets from you breathing and coughing. Okay, those droplets, even when you just speak, there are droplets come out of your mouth and your nose. Okay, and they can travel around for 4 or 6 feet or something or other. They can stay in the air for a little while. If you're coughing, okay, they can blast out 6 to 8 feet with no problems at all. So wearing a mask is a good thing. Okay. If you want to reopen, I don't have a problem with that. Social distance, keep 6 feet apart, and wear masks. It's the polite thing to do. It's the reasonable thing to do. It's the only thing that makes sense. If you're going to go out, wear a mask. If you don't have an N95 mask, and most people don't, okay, the cloth masks that you're wearing, they're okay. They'll prevent you from infecting someone else. That's a good first step. The better your mask, the better the protection you offer to someone else. If you've got an N95 mask, that's even better, because not only are you protecting them from you with that mask, if it's well-fitting, you're protecting yourself from them. So this has obviously wreaked havoc with the economy, and it's why everybody wants to get reopened, other than the fact that they're going crazy just being in the house right now. So you want to reopen the economy, that's a good thing. People are hurting. People had Plan A jobs, and they thought that, oh yeah, I'm going to retire in a few years, no problems at all. Well, the people that thought they were going to retire in January are not thinking they're going to retire now. If you came into this in January thinking you're going to retire next 2 or 3 years, surprise, your money just got wiped out. Your plan just got wiped out. You need a plan B. Now, if you're having problems making a car payment or paying a mortgage, chances are I really can't help you. Chances are. However, if you're not in that situation, if you're getting by okay right now, you can still work out of the house. Your business is still functioning. You have enough money coming in. Okay, but you know you don't have enough, or you even remotely think you might not have enough to retire in the next 3 to 5 years, then maybe I can do something for you. Go to my site, drrousenow.com. There's a short video there. Tell you more about what I can do for you, if I can help you at all. I can't help everybody, and I don't have a problem with that. But that's why I'm here. Again, I'm a retired certified financial planner. I've been doing this for a while now, and I'm going to come up with a system that will help some people. I can't help everybody. But again, we're here. If I can help you, that's great. I'm Dr. Fred Rouse, the Real Money Doctor, and I'm here to help you get, protect, and enjoy your money, your life, and your retirement. It's moving on 7:30 right now, not quite. Again, I look forward to doing this with you. I'll be posting this video tomorrow on my YouTube channel. Go there, like and share the video, make some comments. I appreciate that. And I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow around 7 o'clock. Thank you.